come here for a 1994 murder.
Yep. New technology is what helped police solve this horrific crime.
Well, then I'm going to rot in prison for the rest of my life. But who do you want to know?
Meet 52-year-old Stephen Smirk, a man realizing that he has been caught for the murder of Robin Lawrence, a murder that was committed 30 years ago. And for those 3 decades that Stephen has been on the run, there has been only one thing on his mind.
I need you guys for a night. I know I can't run from this, so why delay the inevitable?
And with his crimes finally catching up to him, detectives have no idea that Stephen isn't just heartless, he is insane.
I've studied the occult my whole life. I'm highly, highly influenced by demons. I've let a lot of bad juju into my life. I'm a very intelligent person. I don't feel anything for the family. I can't say that any other way.
On the week of Thanksgiving 1994, airline executive Ollie Lawrence was on a business trip to the Bahamas, growing increasingly concerned about his 37-year-old wife, Robin. The artist and devoted mom to their daughter Nicole wasn't answering the phone, so he contacted her friend Laurie and asked her to check on them. But when she arrived at the Springfield, Virginia home and crawled through an unlocked window, she found a horrific scene. Robin had been stabbed 49 times and nearly and a roll of toilet paper was found near her body. A bloody washcloth was found feet away from where Robin was attacked, leading investigators to believe her killer used it for his own injuries. But testing yielded no matches to any convicted felons in the US government database, and with no remaining leads, the case went cold within a year. But in 2019, cold case detectives submitted the DNA to a company called Parabon Nanolabs, and after 3 years of work, it led authorities to 51-year-old Stephen Smirk, a married software engineer and father of 2 living in Niskayuna, New York. Police arrived at Stephen's home to find him taking out the trash, and when they explained they were following up on a decades-old cold case, he voluntarily gave them a sample of his DNA. But hours later, after detectives returned to their hotel, Stephen called them with a curious demand. "I want to talk, and I want to talk right now." He was told to drive to the Niskayuna Police Department, where his confession proved a chilling peek into the mind of a depraved killer.
So you asked me when we started, you said, where do you want to start? And I guess my question to you is, where do you want to start?
Well, the DNA, which means that you got my DNA. The only DNA that I remember back that far that I got from the scene was probably a cigarette butt in the neighbor's backyard.
Okay.
So what do you want me to hear? I will totally tell you. You just guide me along the way.
Sure. So we're investigating a 1994 murder.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've come here to turn yourself in for a 1994 murder.
Yeah.
And so.
Can you remind me her name again? Can you say that?
I can. Do you remember anything about the person?
She was African American.
Okay.
That's all I remember.
Okay. And can you describe anything about the location of where it
It
happened?
was a residence.
Mm-hmm.
I was drunk and under.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was in the service at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the Army 94 to 98. I was not in the right frame of mind.
Okay.
And my friends were staying at the house next door.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I knew of the area. I never met this person before or seen her or anything. It's something inside me said to something inside me just compelled me to do it. I'm sure you guys get a lot of interesting stories. So I drove there. It was at nighttime. I drove there and gained access through the back sliding door. They had a wooden thing holding it locked. So I found a branch and was able to I gained entry with the branch. I was able to gain entry, and I went in and noticed that she had a daughter, a baby in one of the rooms. I did not do anything with the child. The husband apparently was not there. And I killed her.
Okay. What did you use to kill her?
I used a cold steel Tonto knife,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even know where I threw it. I threw it somewhere in a body of water, Chesapeake Bay somewhere, I don't know where.
Okay.
I remember driving over a bridge and just tossing it out the window.
Is that something you brought with you that night?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So I just want to back up a little bit. It's at nighttime. You said you had been staying at your friend's house next door, but you drove there.
I was not staying there. They were staying there visiting friends, and they had also came to visit me in the Army. It was my first year in the Army.
Okay.
So that's how I knew of the area.
Okay.
I had no premeditation of that is the house I'm going to target, anything like that. It just came over me that I don't know how to explain it.
So you weren't at your friend's house that
No,
night?
I was actually at the barracks. I've been drinking for a while that day. I think it was like a Friday or something like that. It was getting ready for the weekend, and everybody was getting ready to go out to the clubs in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And I was drinking as well, and I did not go with them to the clubs. And something inside me said that it's hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
So it was it just told me to go, and I knew that I was going to kill somebody. I did not know who I was going to kill. So I said, where can I go? I do remember, where can I go that's furthest away that I feel comfortable driving to, that's furthest away from the barracks.
Mm-hmm.
And that I was comfortable with on the road. And
So you've been drinking in the barracks. Do you remember what you were drinking?
probably beer.
Okay.
We didn't really drink hard liquor in the barracks. Probably just beer. I wasn't too drunk. But I was pretty buzzed. I was also doing, at the time, I don't think it was illegal at the time, but
Mm-hmm.
so the combination of alcohol is something that I like to do at that time. A lot of guys did that.
Was the prescription?
No.
Okay. So you've been drinking beer. Do you remember about how many hours you had been drinking that afternoon?
I was okay to drive, so it wasn't a whole lot of drinking. Maybe I had 2 or 3 beers at the time.
Okay.
At the time, so I was able to drive there and do what I did and come back.
Do you remember how many of the pills you had taken?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
Enough to get a buzz.
Okay. But you said still okay to drive.
Yeah.
As Stephen recounts the events of November 20th, 1994, it's clear that even after 30 years and being under the influence of alcohol and drugs at the time, that day remains as vivid in his mind as ever. But the drug he was abusing, ephedrine, a now banned dietary supplement, had side effects tailor-made for his murderous mission, including intense feelings of energy, heightened focus, euphoria, and confidence. So while his army buddies were partying at the clubs, Stephen stayed behind at the barracks to party by himself, and finally indulge in his most twisted, violent fantasy.
Do you remember about what time you left the barracks?
It was at nighttime.
Okay.
The guys were getting ready to hit the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe about anywhere between 8 and 10.
Okay. So they leave to go to the clubs, and then you decide to drive over to the house?
Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of car did you have at the time?
At the time, I had a white Chevrolet pickup truck, S10. It was a small pickup truck. I don't know if it was a 4-cylinder or a 6-cylinder. I almost want to say it was a 4-cylinder at the time.
And did it have Virginia tags or no? Because you're not from Virginia.
It had California tags when I first showed up, but I think it had Virginia tags. I did go to the DMV, and I eventually had to get Virginia tags on that.
So at the time that this incident happened, you
I
think
was
you had already switched it over?
Yeah. I cannot tell you that for
Okay.
certain.
Okay.
I stayed all 4 years at the barracks.
Okay. So you drive over, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you gained entry through a back sliding glass door?
Correct. I vaguely remember there being some kind of wooden like
Like a
deck,
trolley bar?
like a deck,
Oh, wooden deck.
and they had a wooden bar down at the bottom to keep people from opening it, but you could push and open a gap in the middle. And I distinctly remember I found a branch and I was able to get that out. I did just tell you what I don't even know. There could have been 50 people in that house. I don't know. They could have all had guns and shot me dead. I wasn't even thinking about that. Her husband could have been there. It was not even a thought on my mind. I just went in and I distinctly remember everything. Went down the hallway. Bedroom was ahead. Child's room was on the left. I startled her. She got out of bed. She was on her knees, and you guys know what I did, and I know what I did, so I don't know if I need to say that.
Would you feel comfortable telling me?
I ended her up pretty good.
Do you remember where on her body?
I did everything they taught me in the military, hand-to-hand combat. I shot her in the back of the neck, right up through the space here. And I took out her, I think it was on the right side because I was behind her. And I had her by her hair, by the hand. With the,
Anywhere else
no,
on her body?
not that I remember. It very well could have been other wounds, but those are the ones that I remember. I did it.
Okay. And so then after she is dead on the floor.
And I make sure I put the knife in the sheath and put it in my pocket. It's kind of sticking out of my pocket, and I left the residence.
Did you injure yourself at all during this? Did you cut yourself?
Not that I can remember. I know she clawed at my face. I had a little bit of a scar here. I was worried that maybe she had some DNA underneath her finger or something like that, but I didn't. I wasn't aware of that. But it was a lot of blood, and her hands were in the blood and everything. So I just left. I don't, other than the scratch. It was under, I distinctly remember it was either under one of my eyes, and people in the Army asked me what happened. I said I just got out of a fight in one of the clubs. But that's the only thing that I can remember. I threw all the clothes away in the dumpster.
Do you remember which dumpster?
It was one of the dumpsters in back of the barracks there at where I was stationed.
Do you remember what you were wearing that day?
I was wearing brown shoes. I was wearing brown shoes, and I think maybe a Levi's, and I don't recall anything else.
And so you threw those clothes away in the dumpster at the barracks. Did you go back to your room first to get fresh clothes before you went and threw them away?
Yes, I went back to the barracks, washed up, got new clothes, put everything in a garbage bag, and dumped the garbage bag in the barracks trash can.
But during this incident, you don't remember cutting yourself at all?
No.
On your hands? Okay. Do you remember doing anything in the house? Did she try to get to the phone at all to call 911?
No, she didn't. She didn't say anything that I can remember that is sticking with me. I just know that she.
Did you see her daughter at all during this incident?
I saw what I thought was a crib or something like that if I remember correctly. I knew there was a small there just based on the room, and I can hear the breathing and everything. I did not enter the room, so I don't actually have confirmation of whether it was an actual or whether it was or anything like that. But I was aware that there was definitely a of sort in there.
Mm-hmm. That when you had initially said, you had said her daughter was there, so
I remember going online and reading about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you would learn the fact that she had a daughter after the fact.
Yeah. And I also learned the fact that she had a husband.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Robin Lawrence, that was her name.
Yes.
Even though this ex-Army man wants detectives to think he's been totally transparent, things already aren't adding up. Because even though he claims the murder happened relatively quickly, the horrific injuries to Robin's neck, chest, and upper torso say otherwise. And not only did he cut himself during the frenzied attack and leave his DNA on the washcloth, but Robin very much did try to call for help that Stephen guaranteed she wouldn't be able to receive.
We had found a phone cord cut in the bedroom. Do you remember if you would cut the phone cord?
She had, yes, thank you for reminding me. She did reach for the phone. Okay, she did reach for the phone, and I instantly went and cut the line.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Did you ever go into her bathroom at all? Do you remember?
I don't remember that. If I did go into the bathroom, it would have been to look at what she did to my face,
mm-hmm.
because I do remember looking at that in the mirror in my truck.
Okay.
So.
Did you do any sort of washing up in her bathroom?
I can't remember.
Okay. Did you exit the home in the same way that you entered?
I exited through the rear. I'm almost positive I exited through the rear.
So that same sliding glass door?
Yes.
Okay. And then when you parked, did you have to pull up in the driveway?
I parked in the driveway of my friend, the house.
Oh, the front.
I did not park in their driveway.
Okay. When you came out, did you see anyone, were lights on in houses? Did you see any people?
No.
Okay. Do you remember? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I didn't speed away or anything. I was pretty calm about it. I was very cognizant of my speed and everything on the highway, so. Any other questions?
Do you know if you got any blood in your car?
I don't, not anything that would have been, if I did, it would have been something very small. I don't remember getting anything, and the car was actually totaled. I got into an accident. I don't know how much longer after that I got into an accident in DC and the vehicle was totaled.
Okay.
So.
When you go back on the base on Fort Myers, do you have to check in at the gate?
Oh yeah.
So.
I don't have to check in where they write my name down or anything. I just have to show, I have a military sticker on the car, and then I show my military ID.
Mm-hmm. You had made a statement before, and you said you knew you were going to kill somebody, you just didn't know who it was going to be.
It was 100% intentional. I'm going to say something, you can take it for what you want. I know you see a lot of crazy people. I'm highly, highly influenced by demons.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about that.
I wouldn't say I'm possessed, but I'm influenced.
Mm-hmm. I'm
a born again Christian. Well, I was raised a born again Christian and baptized, so I don't believe that I can actually be possessed by a demon. But I'm studied the occult my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've let a lot of bad juju into my life.
Mm-hmm.
So if something came over me, I'm not going to say it like voices in my head. I didn't hear somebody actually talking to me, but it was like this overbearing thought in my brain that I needed to I needed to kill somebody. I just had to kill somebody. I can't explain it to you any other way.
Okay. How often do you, or had you back then, had those thoughts?
All the time. It's one of the reasons why I joined the infantry, because I wanted to go to combat.
To kill people in combat?
At the time, yes. I wouldn't say that's necessarily how I feel now, but back then, yeah.
After you killed Robin, did it seem to satisfy that need, that urge?
At the time, yes.
And then how long until you started feeling it again?
I didn't. I don't want to lie to you. I'm going to say something and you can believe it however you want to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I've not killed anybody else, but I mean, if I could be a serial killer. But I want to tell you right now that she's the only person that I've killed.
Okay.
I'm married, I have kids. I honestly believe that if it wasn't for my wife and my kids, I probably would be a serial killer.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel like you were able to contain that for the years until you became...
Because I walk a fence of good and evil. In my mind is how I rationalize it. I took the spiritual path. Some people are not spiritual with their thought processes. I'm very spiritual with my thought process. I knew you guys were going to come.
How did you know we were going to come?
Because I saw it.
Oh, okay. What did you see?
I saw someone in blue, and someone in black.
Mm-hmm. When did
And
you see
it was about maybe a week ago, and I was in the kitchen making something, and all of a sudden I had a vision of somebody coming. That was law enforcement coming to my house. I didn't see the faces. I only saw shapes. And I hadn't felt that before. So when you guys showed up today, it was like I was waiting for you.
While Stephen may have already accepted his fate, what will his wife think when she hears her husband's a cold-blooded killer? As it turns out, he's already told her, but she's not the only one who knows his secret.
Does your wife know?
Yeah. I called her before I came and turned myself in. I told her everything. Well, I didn't tell her everything like I'm telling you, but I told her that you're free. Never my wife, never my kids, but the marriage has not been good. Many times we're going to divorce.
What did you tell her?
I told her, I got to tell you something. She said, "Am I at the end of the road for me?" I said, "I'm going to do the right thing here and turn myself in." She said, "You guys came by and took a DNA." I said, "It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before you guys come back and formally arrest me." So I just said, "I'm going to turn myself in."
And did you tell her for what?
Yeah. And she was hysterically crying and very upset.
Where is she now? At the house?
Probably at the house.
Is she okay?
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine. She's at the house, and my kids got home from school, and you guys were there when my son was coming home. So she has a family in the area. We make very good money, so it's not.
Sir, did you take anything from the house that you didn't bring there? I know you mentioned when you left you had the knife and the shoe.
You're asking if I took a souvenir or something? No, and I did not go there to her. I did not touch her in any manner.
Yeah, No, and I'm not implying that you did.
Okay, no, I didn't take any, that I recall, I did not take anything from the house.
Okay. And in terms of anybody else over the years, did you tell anybody about this? A friend, anybody over the years that you did this?
Yes,
Okay. And who was that?
Patrick
Who was Patrick?
is a friend of mine.
Okay. Still a friend?
I speak to him maybe once every year.
Okay.
I keep my distance from him.
And sure. And how soon after this incident happened did you tell him?
Probably a month or two or so. I actually had gone back to California, flew back to California because I think that was when my grandfather was passing away.
So is that where he lives, California?
He lives in California. Last I know, it was either Long Beach or Los Angeles, California.
Was he in the military with you, or no? So you knew him from California before you came to Virginia, or how did that relationship?
I knew him since high school.
Okay. So high school friend. Okay. Just him.
Yeah, that's just him.
Okay.
He was always, whenever I would talk to him, he would always ask me how I'm feeling. And I know what that meant, but we never talked about anything after that. He basically wanted to know if I was planning on doing anything again.
Okay.
And he was trying to be nonchalant about it. And I, over the years, I would very rarely talk to him.
Okay. And Detective Wallace was asking you about going into the bathroom. Did you handle anything in the house? I know you mentioned.
I can't recall I was wearing gloves.
You were, okay.
I was wearing leather gloves, and as far as I know, my leather gloves stayed on, but I don't know if I washed my hands or anything like that. I'm now almost positive I did look in the mirror to check out the scar on my face. I was wearing a ski mask on my face.
Okay. And the ski mask went with you?
Yes, as far as I know, everything went with me.
Okay. And you mentioned that you entered through the sliding glass door. Did you attempt to get in any other way prior to that?
No.
Okay. And you said you had seen her before. Had you had any contact with her, or spoke to her, or anything like that?
No. I didn't even, to be honest with you, I didn't even know that. Didn't even know who lived there. I didn't know anything. I don't even know why I chose that. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea why I chose that. I just knew that I knew where that place was, and something in my mind said, do the house next door.
Okay, but you didn't even know who lived in there.
I didn't know if they were African American. I didn't know who they were. I've never seen anybody there before.
Okay. And when you said you parked at your friend's house, is that correct?
It's the house right next to you. If you're staring at their house, it's the house to the left.
Okay. I'm assuming they didn't know you were there that night.
And it's not my friend's house.
Okay.
It was a girl that I didn't know. When I first met them, I didn't know who it was, but one of my good friends, Philip, he was dating her.
He was dating her, and she lived there.
Yes.
Okay.
And we would go over there and drink a couple times.
Okay.
So I knew. That's how I knew where the house was.
Okay. And you mentioned a cigarette butt in the backyard or something.
Yeah, I smoked cigarettes, and I was smoking a cigarette or two in their backyard, and
the night of the incident.
Their backyard actually had a wooden fence that had a gate of some sort that spilled into the center divider area, I think, between the two homes.
Okay.
And so I smoked a couple cigarettes there.
After the incident or
Before.
Before. Okay, so you parked, you were in the backyard area,
Yeah.
You smoked a couple cigarettes, you believe you dropped the butts there, and then you made entry into the home.
Yeah, but I was very aware that was a mistake, and I viewed it as a mistake.
Okay. Was it a mistake made on purpose?
No.
Okay.
It was a mistake that I realized on my drive home.
Okay.
But I didn't want to go back
Okay.
to correct the mistake.
Okay. You ever kept any journals or anything like that, or wrote anything down?
No, nothing that would, nothing that I think what you guys are getting at now.
Yeah, no, and I'm not trying to get anything in particular.
Well, no, I didn't do journals.
Okay.
I didn't write this down. Patrick's the only person I told.
Okay, so is there anything from this incident, whether it's written, researched, anything that you still have somewhere?
No.
Okay.
What was Patrick's reaction when you told him?
We were in a pool hall in Glendale, California. And I think he didn't believe me. And then I think something to the yeah. I don't think he believed me. But I always got the impression, we never talked about it after that. And I never got the impression, and then I did get the impression on subsequent discussions over the years that when we would talk, that he did believe me because he didn't want to talk about it, but he always asked me how I was feeling, how I'm doing.
Do you think he researched it? And
I don't know.
you don't know.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Were you nervous to tell him? I mean, that was pretty risky to let him know, knowing that he could have gone to the police.
I felt really, 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 really bad about doing it. And I to this day don't know why I told him.
Did you tell him, please don't say anything? Or did he say, I promise I won't say anything? Do you know how that kind of...
Yeah, probably we had that discussion, sure.
Despite Patrick allegedly coming to believe his old friend's story, he never reported the crime to authorities. And while Stephen may claim to have remorse for what he's done, he only turned himself in after detectives had him dead to rights, and his capture was all but assured. So now that he's unburdened himself, detectives want to know, if he's as much of a wannabe serial killer as he claims, why does he feel bad about his actions at all?
Why do you think you felt really bad?
Because I have my dark periods, and I'm really a different person during those dark periods. And when I'm not in those dark periods, I have remorse for what I did. That's why I turned myself in. Because I know I can't run from this. So why delay the inevitable?
When you're in a dark period, do you understand the difference between right and wrong? Do you know what you did that night was wrong?
When I'm in a dark period,
Or do you know it's wrong and you just don't?
I'm gonna tell you right now what I am, and you can eventually. I'm assuming that I'm going to get a state psychiatrist to evaluate me somewhere along the line. I am a serial killer who's only killed once.
But I think and I'm just so I'm understanding too. Do you understand the difference between right and wrong?
Yes.
Okay. So do you understand that killing her is wrong?
Yes.
Did you understand it after you did it? Did you know going into it was wrong, but you were still going to do it?
I actually was not even thinking about whether this was right or wrong when I did it and during it. And I felt extraordinarily bad that I had done that when I had time to cool off, if you want to call it that. But
in coming here today, and telling us everything that you've told us, do you understand that it's wrong as we're having this conversation?
Yes. But that's, at the time, I could not control it.
Okay.
It's,
But you understand that killing is
yes,
wrong, it's illegal.
Yeah.
Because you had made, just to go back to your statements, you knew leaving the cigarette butts was a mistake.
yeah.
You knew that you needed to get rid of your clothes, so when you got back to the barracks.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a very intelligent person.
And throwing the knife into the water.
And
was important.
Yeah, these are all, and you made these decisions knowing because you could get caught for murder, correct?
So, yes, I am very, very well aware of right and wrong. I know what I did was wrong. When I did it, though, I'm a different person. And it's not a question of right or wrong.
Another, is that what you're asking?
Very good with that. So, one of the things that would be helpful, and we very much appreciate you coming here and turning yourself in.
Does Virginia have a death penalty?
No.
Okay, well then I'm gonna rot in prison for the rest of my life. But what do you want to know?
Well, a couple things. One of the things that would be helpful for us, and this is, even though you're here, and I want to make sure that you understand this clearly, you're here and you're not free to leave, okay, and you're going to be arrested. What I'm going to ask for, you gave us a buckle for genetic genealogy purposes, okay?
Yeah.
We would like to get another sample of your DNA for other purposes, okay, for the case.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
So this would be the buckle.
I am here to attend.
I know. But I just have to. I know, and I just have to go over this. So you're not required to give this to us. You don't have to give it to us. You can say no to this. This would be the DNA sample that we would use to compare evidence at the lab. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Schnook, do you pronounce it Stephen or Stephen?
It's actually pronounced Stefan, but you can call me Stephen or Stefan. I usually go by Steve.
Okay. So one of the things, you're here now. Not sure how much we're really going to get a chance to talk after this evening. So we'd like to try to get everything. We don't want to leave anything off the table. One of the things that we do sometimes that people like to do, you mentioned that you were here to kind of atone for your sins and things like that. I'm imagining there's some remorse there that you feel probably to her family, to her child, to the husband. Sometimes what we do is we ask, and people write it, we would give you the opportunity to do that. If I can give you a piece of paper and a pen, would you like to write something to them that we can provide to them?
How do I say this? I know you're recording.
Yeah, you can say it however you want.
I don't feel anything for the family.
Okay, so is there any?
I don't have animosity to the family.
Okay.
I don't feel anything for the family.
Okay.
I can't say that any other way.
Okay, no, that's fair.
I feel bad that I did it because I knew someday my personal freedom would be affected.
Sure.
I know that it was wrong, but listen, you take it for however you're going to take it. But if I did not have a family, I think that my life path would have been different.
Okay. So there's nothing you would like to say to the family?
No.
Stephen feels nothing for Robin's family, and his cold lack of remorse will get him exactly what he deserves. He was extradited to Fairfax County, Virginia, and charged with the first-degree murder of Robin Lawrence. He pled guilty, and on March 7, 2025, a judge sentenced him to 70 years in prison. The Lawrence family expressed relief and gratitude for justice finally served, but their grief for a wife and mother taken so terribly from them will never fade. Thank you for watching today's video. Whether you're new here or have been with us for a while, check out one of the craziest cases I've ever covered right here, or one of my newest uploads right here.